Welcome to the source. The source. Source. Hey, get the source.
What's up, guys? Happy Wednesday to everybody. Hope you all had a nice Tuesday. Our group had a good one. I know Toast had a real good night. That Phillies game was crazy. I actually didn't end up placing any MLB bets last night. But obviously in the group, a lot of people are on it, so I was just following along, seeing how people were doing. That Phillies game, crazy. We're supposed to be starting a WNBA right now, but there's only one game. So give it 10 minutes. If Chris doesn't show up, we'll just go right into the baseball. How's everyone doing today? What's up, Scott? Scott, you've been looking at any week 2 college football, week 1 NFL? There's a lot of action this weekend. I have like 13, 14 bets open. Or you know what? I don't want to exaggerate. Let me look at exactly how many I have open. Oh, I hear Chris in, I think that's Chris in my headphones here. Yep, there's Chris.
What up, fellas?
Not much, just one game to do for WNBA. Oh, Chris is on. All right, here we go. What's up, man? How's everything going?
Good. Everything's going good.
We got one game. It's Indiana laying 11 at home. We've come a long way with the Indiana Fever team. When they started 1-8, and every single comment was like, "I'm just blindly fading Caitlin Clark."
Yeah.
Are the Indiana Fever the hottest team in the WNBA right now?
Yeah. You can say that they are. I think the Minnesota Lynx might have something to say about that. They've only lost one game since the Olympic break as well. But yeah, red hot team. I think they're winning by about 8 points per contest since the Olympic break. They get a super easy game here, but I think it could be a little bit tad too easy though, here, Cal. I think 11 is a lot to lay. This is the most that they've laid all season. There's also the injury report, and not that say that it means a lot, but Timmy Fong-Bagley, who is a defensive stopper for this team, she is listed as questionable with a shoulder injury, something to kind of monitor if you do want to take the points with the Sparks. I like the Sparks early, Cal. Plus 7.5. Just 8 is just a big number to lay early. That's my favorite way of playing the game. I went back and looked at it, and the Fever, like we said, they've won 4 straight, 9 of their last 10. But of course, this is the first time that they've been laying such a big number, and I think it's a tad bit too many points to lay. When I went back and looked at it, they've only won one game by double digits in their last 10. So these have been closely contested games. Now the Sparks do this thing where, they kind of take the game away late, and that's why they are the worst offensive rated team in the fourth quarter. So I do think that the Indiana Fever could pull away if the game is close in the third quarter, just kind of shut the door on this Sparks team, which is why I chose to go first half versus full games. But yeah, I mean, this is the Sparks roll, double digit dog, 7-2 against the number. And they're only a -5 in the first half net rating over the course of those 9 games. So even with the Fever success, I think defensively it could be a letdown spot because the Fever have been playing against much better opponents as of late. And they just been knocking them off. They beat the Connecticut Sun. They beat the Seattle Storm. So and they got a big rematch coming up with the Minnesota Lynx on what's today, Wednesday. So on Friday. The other thing I wanted to mention, we talked about this yesterday, Cal. The playoff seeding is now clinched. They are in the playoffs. The Atlanta Dream ended up losing last night, and the Phoenix Mercury also. Well, the Atlanta Dream ended up losing. Chicago Sky lost to the Aces, so they clinched their spot. They may not go, proverbial balls to the walls, now that they don't have to throughout the rest of the season. So I like the Sparks to come out and just do what they do, cover in the first half, and then potentially get ran off the floor early. That would be my favorite look in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Indiana's pulling off these upsets, playing these tough games, and then they get home against a team that they should beat the hell out of, and they come out flat. Yep, makes sense. Yeah. All right, so LA first half plus 7.5. Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Kyle. Best of luck there.
Talk soon, man.
All right, fellas.
All right. Toast 340, so we got 4 minutes. Time for some baseball. Wednesday schedule, mostly night games. Just one day game today. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 games to get through. It's just me and Toast, though. All right. 1 sec. Yeah, football games we got on schedule for today. Not the best football games we have for this show. I'd say probably as far as quality of games, this is the worst day. We do have Michigan State, Maryland. That's a cool one. The NFL games, you have Panthers, Saints, Cardinals, Bills, Patriots, Bengals. Ugh. Kind of an ugly little three-piece there as far as the NFL games. Maybe the 3 worst NFL games on the board. Butler home run. Toast plus 11.5 versus Austin. What? Yeah, Francisco Lindor tattooing the ball, man. I cashed Orioles minus 3.5. Who does NFL Survivor in here? I would imagine mostly everybody. Everyone's in a Survivor pool. Look, I'm not a Survivor pool guy. I mean, I do one. My brother runs one, and like my family's in it and shit. So I'm always in one. But like, I don't know. So some people get really into it, the strategy for it, and I'm not. I mean, Bengals. Take the Bengals in week 1. How about that? You didn't need me to tell you that. Too legit. Texans in their Survivor pool. Man, the Colts played them tough twice. You could make an argument that the Colts should have beat them twice last week. Home division dogs have an excellent record in week 1. Taking home division dogs in week 1 has been money. You took Saints? Yeah, I mean, I kind of think the Panthers are going to be able to run the ball on New Orleans, to be honest. That Saints run defense is deteriorating. I mean, the Saints branded themselves as this tough run defense under Dennis Allen, right? And you still see some of the same names there. DeMario Davis, right? I mean, Granderson, they still got the same main pieces there, but they're all aging. And last year, we really saw the Saints run defense take a step backwards. They were a bottom half of the NFL run defense last year, and they didn't do anything to improve it. Oh, too legit. I didn't mean to like talk you off. I was just sharing my I wasn't saying like don't do it. I was just sharing. My bad. How about them Cowboys? Okay. And I'm telling you, I'm holding a Browns money line ticket, but if a Cowboys plus 3 flashes, just saying, if you're going to get a full plus 3. Oh, nice of you to join us, Toast. Oh, shit, I can't see Toast. I'll leave and come back. Get Toast on the stream so he can talk. All right, I'm leaving and coming back.
It was 1 game, Toast.
All right. Good afternoon, kids.
Good afternoon.
Hope you're all having a good day. Busy morning for the toast.
All right, we're good to go.
So funny, Andy. You got something to say?
No, Andy's lost right now. Yesterday, I swear to God, yesterday at the beginning of the day, he's like, Maryland, bro. He's like, Maryland was my top bet last week. It hit. Aiden Childs looks terrible. Michigan State sucks. Maryland. Just completely fading, completely bailing on his Michigan State take from before week 1. He comes in this morning and goes, changed my mind. I'm sticking with it. Michigan State. Dude, he's a mess right now.
Michigan State's dead to me.
Sparty's never dead. Sparty can never be dead. January, February, Izzo, bro.
Yeah, that's a different sport, though. And that's Andy, who loves the circle jerk of the Sparty Nation.
January, February, Izzo, bro. All right, let me get my spreadsheets open. Let's talk some seam. You had a good one yesterday.
Yeah. I had a terrible Sunday. 10 every other day. Last 11 days, everything has been great besides one Sunday.
All right. First up, White Sox, Baltimore. I'm not even plugging this one into the sheet.
No, it's not even. Yeah. I played the over yesterday. I felt extremely lucky to cash that over. I think the White Sox won 9-0 or something like that. Yeah, the total was 8.5. I'm not going back to an over here. Do I think that Baltimore wins? Absolutely. I will say, though, that if you had to give like a MVP type of award to a Baltimore player, Albert Suarez has been an absolute godsend for this team. So just going forward, make sure that just so you guys know in your head that he's not an absolute fade. This isn't me like not wanting to back him. It's just the price is just absolutely insane. But Suarez has been absolutely fantastic for Baltimore. So, but yeah, it's a straight pass.
Yeah, I'm good. Next. All right, Houston, Cincinnati. I'm plugging it in. Arrighetti versus who's pitching for Cincinnati?
Nick Martinez, a.k.a. bullpen day-ish.
Well, he was getting starts, though.
Yeah, but again,
is he back to the bullpen?
No, he's starting. It's just that he's not. He's not going to go a whole bunch of innings. He's probably going to go 4, maybe 5 innings. So I don't trust Nick Martinez. But at the same time, you're not going to hear me say anything bad about Spencer Arrighetti. I passed on this one. I lean under. Let's see what it is right now. Yeah, I would lean under 9 if I had to make a play in the game. Arrighetti making his first start in Cincinnati, which doesn't concern me like if it would be like maybe Coors or something like that. But at the same time, he hasn't given up a run in his back-to-back outings. Both of those been on the road. This is going to be his 3rd straight road start, 4th road start in 5 games, or 5 starts for him. This isn't me trying to make a case that Cincinnati gets to him. But at the same time, I have a really hard time getting back to betting on Houston at this price. So
you can't go under here. Cincinnati, Great American Ballpark is first in run index today.
But they're first every day.
No,
sir. They're first almost every time.
No, the Coors Field is always first. Then Fenway. Cincinnati has not been first every day. No, can't go under.
Okay. I've said for years, I don't bet unders in Great America Ballpark, but if I had to lean, that
says
would be
the guy with an under that you have an under.
But I didn't bet it. That's what I'm saying. I'm passing on this game. There's no way it'd be. There's no way. I don't. There's no way I'm laying -140 or -150 with Houston on the road with Arrighetti making it. Yeah, it's just not the spot that I want to be in. So, plenty of other spots on the board that I like.
What's the deal with bullpen arms in this one?
They all had the day off yesterday. They're all good to go.
Oh, right. Okay. So, yeah, pass. Nats, Marlins.
Let's see what the number is now. I would lean Marlins first 5. Again, I didn't bet this game again. I don't have a ton of play. I have like 7 or 8, but I don't know if you can really trust what Mackenzie Gore has shown us back-to-back starts now, one against Atlanta, where a place that we know he has consistently pitched well, or a team that he's pitched well against consistently his whole career. And then I guess you could call it the start of his season against the Yankees. But I've been preaching this, that the Yankees aren't really hitting left-handed pitching, especially left-handed starters. Another game yesterday where at first 500 would have hit. Shout out Texas Rangers, shout out Wyatt Langford, shout out Clay Holmes. I would lean Miami first 5 here. I know Belozo, or however you say his name, has looked really, really bad, but at the same time, over his last 7 starts, he's been really good for essentially five of them. He had a bad start against the Cubs, which keep in mind that during that stretch, the Cubs were scoring 10 runs a night. So again, not a complete pass, but you can understand it. And then he makes his first start ever in Colorado and he gives up 6 runs. But besides that, he went on the road to the Mets and pitched 5 innings, only gave up 2 runs. He went on the road in Philadelphia, went 7 innings, didn't give up a run. He pitched on the road in Atlanta, gave it 5 innings, 2 runs. At home against Cincinnati, 5 2/3, no runs. So it's really hard for me to think that Washington is just going to kill this guy. Keep in mind, like when Washington was scoring yesterday, they did all their damage like in the early innings. So they had multiple chances later on in that game. I was on Miami team total over, but I knew a lot of people on the over, and Washington had so many chances to score and they didn't do it. So it kind of makes me think that they're probably not going to be able to do it today either. I lean Miami first 5. I'm probably going to regret not betting it because I don't really think Mackenzie Gore is that good. Not to mention the fact that Miami versus left-handed pitching over the last 14 days or so has been pretty damn serviceable. I think they're like top 10 in Major League Baseball. So 9th in WRC plus, 8th in OPS, 8th in WOBA. So definitely not terrible.
Why stick to the first 5 if it looks like? Oh, yeah, never mind.
I feel like when you're going into a game with Miami and Washington and you're playing the bullpens, it's more of a coin flip than anything. So
yeah, it makes sense.
It's
I'm not doing this. No, nothing. Next up, Twins Rays close to a pick. What the hell? Sulcer?
So yeah, dude. It was supposed to be Pablo Lopez versus somebody else. I don't know. I bet the Twins last night. I cashed out of it. I told everybody in the Discord to cash out of it. I don't know either one of these 2 starting pitchers. I'm not going to act like I do. Supposedly Louis Varland's going to start and work an inning or so, and Tyler Alexander is going to work for Tampa Bay. And then
Tiali.
Huh?
I said, Tiali, Tyler Alexander.
Yeah, so like I said, I bet the Twins last night. I ended up cashing out. I do think that the Twins have a bullpen advantage because they didn't use any of their major arms last night. That's why I bet Tampa Bay, is because I knew I assumed that I was going to get Pablo Lopez on the mound, and then on top of that, I knew that the Twins didn't use any of their major bullpen arms, and Tampa Bay bullpen starting to be a little bit taxed. Their top 3 arms have all worked 2 of the last 3 days. So just not a spot that I liked for them. So I still lean Twins tiny, but it's definitely not the confident bet that I had last night.
All right, damn, nothing for me. Next.
Yeah, it's not the funnest slate today in Major League.
Oh, here we go. Grimace up.
Yeah. Another game where Eileen Grimace didn't bet it. I'm sorry. I do have, how many bets do I have today? 8 bets today. I do have 8 bets today. So
no, you said it. Boston's dead. Tanner Houck. Dude, Meatball McGill sucks, but Boston's lineup is dead. Tanner Houck, he's probably just as bad as Meatball McGill right now. I want to see what the community is. Everyone betting the Mets here, or are some people going to fade Meatball?
I also think that you can trust Meatball a little bit more at home in general.
I mean, it's hard to put trust in Meatball in the same sense.
I'm just saying in general. I mean, if you take a look at his home starts, Atlanta, Houston, San Diego, Miami. I mean, his road starts, Washington or White Sox, Nats, White Sox or Cubs. Sorry, Cubs and White Sox. So, I fully believe, like I've been preaching, the Red Sox are dead. Their bats are dead. And again, we showed it last night. They've scored over 3 runs or more in 3 of their last 10 games. This team is, like I said, just not scoring at all. So I did not bet the Mets, but there's no way in hell I would bet Boston. But Meatball McGill kind of scared me off. I've won with the Mets last night as well. So, I picked the Mets. I just didn't want to. I didn't love Tyler McGill.
I'll put the Mets down as a possible. That's my first maybe for the baseball slate. All right. And by the way, we're polling on the Mets. 60%, 30%. So viewers, I mean, 60%, 30% isn't crazy, and it's a small sample size, 65 votes. So that ain't shit, but looks like the viewers leaning towards the Mets as well.
To be honest with you, also the fact that this totals at 7.5 makes me think that McGill's going to pitch well, because they wouldn't just hang that up there. and not thinking that he wouldn't pitch well. So
Man, the Mets keep winning games, but so do all three teams in the NL in front of them. It's like, it's crazy. We were talking about how the NL sucked like a month and a half ago. The Mets are being a playoff spot in the AL right now. Like it's some horse shit.
Well, not to mention the fact that like in the AL, I mean, who are you worried about? And like, if you're like a wild card team, like the Yankees, Minnesota, Kansas City, Boston, Detroit, Seattle, I mean, that's nobody's. So whereas a month ago or 2 months ago, like I was thinking Houston is dead. Like I'm at a spot right now where I feel like Houston's the American League's favorite.
That is crazy.
I mean, I'm dead serious when I say that. Like, I don't know a team that, I mean, Baltimore's got issues. Cleveland can't hit. I mean, who's really going to trust the Yankees? I mean, so yeah, anyway, not going to get on a tangent.
Next up, Rockies. Yo, is there any betting value on this board? Holy hell.
I have some, they're all must be later on in the slate. I really wanted to take a shot with the Rockies, but their team totals at 3.5 at like plus 110 or something like that. I was hoping to get like a really small 2.5. The only reason that I say that is the Rockies are going to send up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left-handed bats to the lineup today. Charlie Morton definitely much worse against left-handed bats. 125, 1.25 whip, 375-ish xFIP against righties. That balloons to 136 whip, 425 xFIP, or 4.25 xFIP, excuse me, against lefty bats. So, again, I don't really know Bradley Baylock, or however you say his name. I don't really know what to think of him, but I will say that he's kind of been through the gauntlet. Arizona, San Diego, the Yankees, and obviously the Miami's not a gauntlet one, but the first 3 games he pitched extremely well, and he had a little bit of a blow up in Miami or against Miami at home. I wouldn't expect him to pitch well here. I really wanted to bet Miami first 5. I kind of got scared off of it because I knew the world was going to be at betting Atlanta, but I do think there's a little bit of value in the Rockies at plus 210 and on the money line in the first 5 of this game. So, again, Charlie Morton didn't look good. He had a bad start against Colorado last year at home. I don't know how much you guys put into that, but his last 3 home starts has been kind of hit or miss. So he gave up 8 hits on only 2 runs to Washington. Usually when you give up 8 hits, you give up a lot more than 2 runs. So he got hit up by Milwaukee and he pitched well against Miami at home. So I'm just not at a spot where I trust Charlie Morton at a big plus price at home, but it is the Rockies. So I get it, but it'd be Rockies first 5 or pass.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Cardinals, Brewers, Sonny Gray. Okay, I can get behind this. All right. Cardinals, Brewers, Sonny Gray, Colin Ray. Let's do something here.
Let's see. I'm going to pull it up. I do have a bet in this game.
All right. Colin Ray. Man, he was pitching so well at home. Not anymore, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, no. His last home start was actually Jim, but he got crushed. You know what? No. It's that start where he got rocked by the Dodgers is kind of skewing his numbers a bit.
I just looked it over his last. I mean, he hasn't looked good in 3 of his last 4. Now, 2 of them have been on the road. I will give him that.
No, that Oakland start isn't bad. 8 hits. If he pitched into the 7th inning, just 4 runs. That's not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on St. Louis first 5 money line for me.
You're back to Sonny Gray on the road.
Yeah, I think that this price is extremely indicative of how the books feel about this game. So I'm not in a position where I feel like Milwaukee is head and shoulders above St. Louis as far as offensively is concerned. We've seen St. Louis be scoring some runs over their last 10 games. Cardinals are a top 10 offense versus right-handed pitching of the last 14 days. Cardinals on the road the last 14 days is a top 7 offense in Major League Baseball. We saw Modi talk about Goldschmidt yesterday, and he's starting to really turn it around. I think this Cardinals offense has turned the corner. And as far as Sonny Gray goes, yeah, I don't really like backing him on the road, but again, I think that this price tells us a lot, and I think that the Brewers have played very well against some mediocre teams. I'm not trying to make the case that the Cardinals are some great team, but on the road at Cincinnati, at home against San Francisco, and then on the road in Oakland, Milwaukee, you're supposed to win those games. And then they had a really big explosion on Monday against St. Louis, and they lost yesterday. My point being is that I'm just not in a spot where I feel like Milwaukee is some great team right now that should be a big, huge favorite. So I actually think there's a lot of value on St. Louis. St. Louis is playing really well, 6-4 their last 10, but they've only lost 2 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 5-2 their last 7. So with their ace on the mound, coming off a really good start against San Diego, where Sonny Gray looked really good. I understand he had a couple bad road starts in before that, but I trust Sonny Gray right here in this spot to pitch well against Colin Ray, who, like I said, hasn't looked good in a couple of weeks for me personally. I think that he faced Cleveland was kind of dead, and we're starting to see Cleveland now turn the corner. So yeah, I'm at a spot. Yeah, I like the Cardinals in the first 5.
I don't like. Well, I guess if you're isolating it to the first 5. I think the Brewers should win this game. A lot of the Cardinals bullpen is on the tax side, but like you said, you said first 5, but Jojo Romero 2 of the last 3 days, Ryan Fernandez 2 of the last 3 days, Liberatore 30 pitches last night, Helsley 27 pitches last night. Cardinals bullpen is not in great shape here. Well, I mean, and I don't really understand why
Milwaukee used everybody yesterday.
No, what's his name? Devin?
They did.
Oh, Devin Williams is down. I'm looking at RotoWire instead of Fangraphs, and they don't put it in the correct order.
Different. I know. Isn't that so confusing?
I hate that. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
So they do have Piguero, but they don't really use him like that anymore.
No, and like Williams would be available, I'm assuming, but I'm just saying, like,
wow. I think the Brewers win the game, but hold on, let me check out what is this line been doing? Let me check out some line movement here. Just open up at -125, drop, been bet down. Yeah, super square side, but I think the Brewers win. I don't know what you're talking about. The Brewers shouldn't be the favorite. I mean, the Brewers last 30 days, top 10 against righties, top 10.
The favorite. I'm just saying that I don't personally regard them as a team that I'm trying to lay. I don't think they're as good as what they've been playing and what they're showing. Like Willy Adames had 5 games where he went off, and that was, I mean, besides that, I mean, it really hasn't been that impressive to me. So that's just my personal opinion.
All right, I'm putting Brewers down. I might bet the Brewers here. All right, next game.
Got the Pirates yesterday.
Yeah.
Look at you. Easy game.
That was easy money, man. Skeens dog.
Easy game.
Rookie of the year.
3rd place, but that's okay. Maybe next year.
Pretty sure you only have one shot at Rookie of the Year. Not sure how it works.
Well, there's a lot of guys that get shut down and then they bring him back and stuff. You know, it's whatever. He's not. I mean, I'm just trying to help the guy get a trophy in his case for the first time in his life. Congratulations to Paul.
I'm sure he's probably won something along.
Yeah,
along
some
the way.
bullshit some bullshit Air Force award where he got to lunch early and they gave him a Medal of Honor. Congratulations, Paul Skeen. Go wash your face.
Next up. You finished that off with "Go wash your face." Shout out Pirates coming through. Yo, I like Domingo Germán has cashed me some bets over the years. That being said, they were many moons ago. Oh God, is Imanaga? I'm pretty sure Imanaga is just not a guy. Hold on, I want to pull up these game logs here.
He's all right. He's not. I don't think he's that special. I think that he pitched over his head the first 2 months of the season, and now we're starting to see a little bit of regression. But again, it's not like he was pitching so well to start that I think that's why I wanted to make that comment. But
you think Domingo Germán could be serviceable today?
I think there's no way in hell you bet the Cubs at this price. Considering, I don't know what to think of this game, to be honest. It would be Pirates or pass for me. I mean, the Cubs were scoring 15 runs a game or whatever it was, it seemed like, for a week and a half, and now they've scored 3 runs in the last 2 nights. So it's, again, do I think that the Cubs offense scores some runs tonight? I would assume so, but at the same time, I mean, that Cubs bullpen has been not the same as it was when they were winning games. And I mean, Jorge Lopez looked terrible his last time out. I mean, and that was against these Pirates. So if he comes in, so what? And for some reason that they're not really using Porter Hodge in the situations that I assume that they would be using him, whether it be high leverage or to close games. And they've used Porter Hodge once in the last 5 days, and he's supposedly their closer and or best bullpen arm. So I honestly don't know what's going on with Craig Counsell on the Chicago Cubs. So it'd be Pirates or pass for me, just because I do feel like the Pirates are playing better right now. So,
hold on.
Again,
hear me out. I think we grab that under 8.5 on ESPN Bet right now. Yes, I think the only reason that this is sitting at 8.5 is what the Cubs did over that week stretch. But they've only scored, like you said, 3 runs in the last 2 games. If the Cubs bats are getting cold again, wind blowing in Wrigley Field, this total would have been 7.5 in this exact game a month ago.
is it still? Do you have it popped open? Is it still like 11 miles an hour?
One sec. I don't know how to read this stupid. It's the arrows are pointing in.
Yes, you're good. That's all I wanted to know. Yeah.
Yeah, minus 16% home runs.
I could have done it.
Minus 16% home runs.
Yeah.
Wind blowing in at Wrigley. This number was 7.5 a month ago. The only reason it's at 8 is because with that little heater the Cubs went on for a week and a half. But if that's over,
I think it's that, and the fact that when these two teams played in Pittsburgh, it was 18-8, 5-9, 10-14.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and now we've seen 5-0, 5-3. Yeah,
I
would
can get
agree.
8.5 on ESPN Bet still. Under.
I would be down for that. Yeah, like I said, everybody in the bullpens are good and available as well, as far as like the major arms for both sides.
Yeah, you know what? I'm adding this. I think this might be my favorite one so far. I'm betting this. All right, next. Cleveland, Kansas City. Lively versus... Oh, wow. Good one here. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm. Cleveland up for me. No question about it.
You had them yesterday, too, right?
And, yep, I'm going to continue to fade, and the day before, I'm going to continue to fade this Kansas City's Royals team until they won't let me know more. They're terrible. They're dead. But all seriously, they're terrible, and they are dead. They've lost 7 games in a row now. If you want to try to catch a falling knife with them, go right ahead. But not to mention, let's just take a look at what Ben Lively's been able to do. His last couple road starts, 2.25 ERA, one whip, really. But my issue is that I don't really think that Kansas City is really going to be able to get to him here because, I mean, if you take a look at the Kansas City lineup, I mean, it is like a shell of what they used to be when they had everybody healthy. I mean, when you put in guys like Yuli Gurriel, who hasn't played in Major League Baseball for a while, I know that story is all right, but it's just really hard. And I understand that people like Tommy Pham, but the fact of the matter is, like I said yesterday, he's on his 3rd team and this year for a reason. He's not a guy that you're just really going to come out and worry about it. For me personally, the Royals at home over the last 14 days, 24th in WRC plus, 20th in WOBA versus right-handed pitching. They're not doing anything at all. Gavin Williams, Blanco, Hunter Brown, Gavin Williams again. All have pitched well against them. Ben Lively, 2 starts against them, one start against Kansas City this year, and it was in Kansas City. Went 6 innings, only giving up 2 runs. Ben Lively's coming off probably his worst start of the year, but over his last 7 starts, Ben Lively's been really good. Not very many starts on the road, but the 2 starts on the road, teams that are in first place. On the road at Philadelphia, 6 innings, 1 run on 3 hits. Then on the road in Milwaukee, 6 innings, 5 hits, and 2 runs. I have no reason to believe that Ben Lively doesn't pitch well or as good as Seth Lugo is. And then if you flip it over the bullpens, Cleveland has a huge advantage. Not only did Cleveland not use anybody that you would want, Clase Gaddis Smith, but then on top of that, the Royals used Urseg and MacArthur last night, which, again, they're going to be available. But now Chris Stratton has worked 3 of the last 4 nights. Sam Long, another middle reliever, have worked 2 of the last 3 nights. So I don't even understand where Kansas City has an advantage in this ball game, but yet we're still getting Cleveland at plus 100 because why? The Royals are going to avoid a sweep? I don't care. Cleveland money line.
They didn't... They just had avoid the sweep situation. They got their ass beat a few days ago.
All I hear is avoid the sweep.
I bet it while you were talking. I took Cleveland at plus 120 on Bet 365, excuse me. Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense to me. So, not to mention the fact that Seth Lugo is pretty good against right-handed bats. He's much weaker versus lefty bats, and we all know what Cleveland does with lefty bats. There will be one right-handed bat in the lineup. That's Big Christmas. Besides that, it's all lefties.
Next. Okay, this is a cool one. All right, Yanks Rangers, Stroman versus Big Nate.
Shout out Rangers.
That was crazy. Estott was heartbroken in the group. And everyone, I felt bad. Everyone was trolling him like, where you at, Estott? And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't in on it. So I can't even be like, oh, I feel bad for him because like I'm also guilty of it. So Yankees, Rangers at a pick'em. Couple of big names on the mound here. You going right back to it?
Yeah, I did first five only though. Rangers first five on the money line. I also sprinkled their first five run line at plus 120, but I like just having that money line better. I really like playing those run lines, so I took a sprinkle. But yeah, I think the price tells us a lot. Just watching baseball this year, you know how good the Yankees offense is and how bad the Rangers offense has been. But at the same time, I talk about the Yankees versus left-handed pitching. I'm just at a spot where I don't even really worry about, I'm not even sure what to expect from this Yankees offense. If they go out and hit their boom, boom home runs, so be it. But if you take a look at the right-handed pitching they face, they scored 5 off of Jack Leiter. To be dead honest with, I know this is going to sound stupid. I would take that performance from Jack Leiter almost any time. Those 5 runs, it's not going to happen every time. If you give me the pitches that he was making in that game, I will take that any day of the week. I do think that Jack Leiter pitched well. Miles Michaelis went 4 innings, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits, but his xFIP is 1.44. So that tells you that the Yankees got a little bit lucky. Kyle Big Game Gibson went into Yankee Stadium, went 7 innings, giving up 1 earned run on 5 hits. Are you kidding me? Eric Fetty, okay, they got 4 off. Gavin Williams, 3 off of. Bo Brisk, how'd they do against him? 0. Kiter Montero, how'd they do in 5 innings against him? 0. Now you're going to give me Big Game Nate Eovaldi at home at a spot where I like to bet him a much more, coming off of 2 home starts where he looked kind of crappy in Minnesota and Boston, and yet this line is still Texas minus 118. I don't trust Stroman on the road. He had 1 over his last 7 starts. He's had 2 road starts. 1 he got absolutely throttled in Boston, and the other one he pitched decent in Detroit. I don't trust this Yankees offense. And I think that they have a huge starting pitching advantage here with Nate Eovaldi, and I think that the bats are, I guess you can call them a wash. But again, that price I felt like told us a lot. So yeah, I'm on Texas on the first 5.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue with that. Got to say, I don't have the same faith in Nate Eovaldi that I did a month and a half ago. Definitely let me down a couple times. The Yankees did just poke him up too on my birthday, actually, August 10th. I don't know. I said the under in this game yesterday. I didn't bet it. I didn't place any baseball bets yesterday. It was looking good for 90% of the game. I kind of could see. I think both starters might get tagged up here. Stroman against 5 lefties in the Rangers lineup. Not to mention it's Stroman. If you look at his game logs, he hasn't had the most difficult schedule. He's pitched against some easy lineups recently. Game against the Cardinals, game against the Rockies. He hasn't pitched against the most difficult lineups. So not that the Rangers lineup is anything special, but on the road against a bunch of lefty bats. And then you can say the same thing for Eovaldi. The Yankees are going to have 5 lefties in the lineup as well. And Eovaldi, he's not the untouchable guy at home in Arlington that he was earlier in the season. The Yankees, say what you want about the lineup, but if there's 5 lefties, and if you take a look, there's still names that you're not just comfortable blindly fading. I think both starters get tagged here. So put up an over for me, Prop Beaver, but I'm not going to bet it. I'll put it on, though, because I'd love to laugh at Estott if they lose again. But as far as
laugh at me.
but it's funnier to laugh at Estott. We're trashing Estott, and he's not even here right now. Even the comments are trashing Estott, and he's not even here to defend himself.
Just really quickly, last 2 home starts versus the Yankees for Nate Eovaldi, 15 innings, 2 runs, 11 strikeouts.
Next up. Remember when you almost bet Detmers last night?
Remember what I would have pushed last night?
It doesn't matter. It was still.
It does matter.
It was the principle.
No, it's not a principle.
It was the principle that you would place a bet like that.
And
It's
it would have pushed, not lost. So what does that tell you?
It's indicative
seeing the
of
board
mental
pretty goddamn
derangement.
clear, huh?
It's indicative of a mental illness.
Pretty clear. I'm seeing the board.
So the can man?
Come on. Dodgers team total over 5.5. Yesterday, I don't even feel like I was wrong yesterday.
You left money on the board. You bailed on your bet.
Oh, I mean, sure. But I don't feel like I was that wrong, and it made me almost even that more confident of betting it today because the Dodgers had 2 runs going into the top of the 10th
Oh,
inning.
I didn't know that one went into the 10th, to be honest. I thought
yeah.
I knew it was 6-2.
It was a fantastic game. It was 2-2 going into the top of the 10th, and they intentionally walked Ohtani to put 2 on to bring Mookie Betts to the plate. I think they had already scored 1 run, though. They had to. Yeah, they had to have because they would have made it. That made it 6. But yeah, the Dodgers scored 1. They walked Ohtani. Mookie Betts hit a home run. That gave them 6. Everybody cashed their team total. So I don't even feel like I was that wrong in my thing. I mean, it is what it is. But seeing that last night just made me go right back to the Dodgers team total over 5.5. Yeah, Griffin Canning is absolutely terrible.
No, hold on. Let me look. Oh. Okay. He's not. Jesus, Griff.
He said he's not. Oh, God. Where can I say a positive thing?
If you're gonna stick up for Griffin Canning, that is mental illness.
No, hold on.
He's got a good whip against.
See, I stopped looking at I stopped handicapping the baseball slate daily about 2 weeks ago now, so I haven't peeked at the Can Man's game logs, and I'm just getting a glance at it. So
rough.
He's been struggling in my absence. I think I can't. I'm not going to say anything. I like the Can Man though.
I think that he has talent. Again, I also think that it's. Again, I can't back Bobby Miller. So if somebody wanted to get behind the Angels team total or something, I'm not going to hate it. Because Bobby Miller is absolutely terrible. So, and also right-handed starters that have faced the Angels. Bryce Miller, they got to 3. Brian Wu, they put 4. Kirby, they put 5. Kyler Montero, they put 3. Only your boy Kenta Maeda blanked them. Besides that, I mean, they've been hitting pretty decently. So I wouldn't mind an over here. I'm sure it's at 9.5 or 10 or something like that.
The graphic says 8.5. That might be wrong though.
Yeah, it is. It's at 10 now. So
yeah, it's 10. By the way, it's 10 juice to the over.
Yeah, I honestly though, it might have been 8.5 last night. I'm not positive. But regardless, yeah, it's Dodgers team total over. Maybe you're right. Maybe I overthought it yesterday, but yeah.
Next. It's just so crazy that we're getting Kirby at these prices. Like the last time he pitched, it was like minus 135. It's like weird to even see.
Yeah, it is. Well, Seattle's terrible. That's
how I don't understand how this team is terrible. How are they below 500 right now?
They chose not to go. Well, a couple reasons. One, they don't play to their ballpark. They brought in guys that are trying to hit home runs or want to hit home runs, like Mitch Garver and stuff like that. Instead of getting guys like, for instance, Kansas City got with guys that can hit it gap to gap, use their speed and athleticism to steal bases, go first to third, stuff like that. The Mariners don't do any of that. But I'm going to stop talking right now because I did play Mariners first 5 run line today with my boy George Kirby. I feel like this is kind of like a do or die spot for Seattle after losing 4 games in a row, two to the Angels, 2 to Oakland, obviously. Kirby is my guy. There's no question about that. Not to mention the fact that Kirby's really, really dominant versus righty bats, not so much against lefty bats. Only 2 lefty bats tonight in the Oakland lineup, unless they change things. One of the hottest hitters on the planet, Lawrence Butler. But besides that, only JJ Bleday. So if he can get around those 2 guys without a lot of damage, I do think that Seattle should be able to put up some runs. or enough to cover this number against JP Sears. I mean, the Mariners against his pitch mix, Raleigh, Garver, Rosarina, JP Crawford, Victor Robles, I mean, all have a 10% over 10% barrel percentage and a WOBA over 375. The Mariners, again, I know that they're very, very bad, but the last two left-handed pitchers they've seen, Tyler Alexander, they put up 5 runs in 4 1/3. Tyler Anderson, they put up 4 runs in 4 innings. So I actually trust Seattle to put a couple runs off of JP Sears as well. So again, I don't want to deal with the bullpen situation for Seattle. Not only can they not be trusted, but I'm pretty sure Munoz is hurt. They're not going to come out and say that, but he had the day off. I think it was Tuesday. What did it say? Wednesday. So no, he had the day off on Monday. They didn't use him Tuesday, and he's dealing with some elbow soreness, which if you guys know pitching, that's not good. So
he's listed as day to day from what I could see.
Yeah, so they said that he was available last night if they needed him, yet they didn't use him in a game which I feel like they needed him, and then they lost. So that's part of it. That's what happens when you put guys like Trent Thornton and Austin Voth into the game. So, yeah, it's Seattle first 5 run line for me. I don't want to deal with it if I want Kirby to pitch well, and I think they have a little bit of advantage here in the first 5. But besides that, that's pretty much it. This is like make or break. I haven't been betting Seattle, so I haven't been losing with money with them, so I don't really have any pains or that.
Gripes.
But regardless, yeah. But so it's me and my boy George Kirby versus the world. We'll see what happens.
We're polling heavy on Oakland, 63%, 20. So as far as the viewers, they're all over Oakland here. I'm not touching this next game.
They're about to be all over 2 more games too. I can't wait to hear the exact Gallon glazing. Oh, my God.
Oh shit, your boy's back, Toast. You Darvish.
He's back. He's been back. He's been working out in the high schools. He's been coming around.
He's been working on the high schools?
Back. Yeah. He had some family
You've been
issues.
watching his workout tapes on Instagram?
Well, they don't give you video, or I would. But they found a couple. I found a couple beat reporters that found him. He looks pretty damn good. You's back, baby. Who is back?
Well, Padres minus 1.5.
Pass. Pure pass. The game's a pure pass for me.
What's the Padres bullpen situation?
Both teams had the day off.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. Again, honestly, though, I want to say Kiter Montero has. I use the word impress because he was so bad to begin with, but over his last 5 starts, I mean, he had a blow-up start on the road against San Francisco, but besides that, he's been pretty damn good against the Yankees, the Angels, and the White Sox. Obviously, I feel like the Padres offense is a little bit better than the Angels and the White Sox. But at the same time, it's not like the Padres are scoring like a whole bunch of runs. They're winning games because of their pitching. And now you're asking Yu Darvish to come here and pitch when he hasn't pitched since May. So again, I think this is a watch and see what you get out of Yu Darvish. I expect him to pitch well today. I don't think he's one of those guys. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. So
I think it's an under game. Both teams rested bullpens. Kiter Montero actually better numbers against lefties. The Padres are loaded with lefties. The Tigers bats. It's at 8. Padres, Petco Park, one of the lowest on the run index today. Tell me this isn't an under game.
I can't argue that. Not at 8. As long as you're not getting 7. I mean, yeah, especially at 8. Yeah, I can't argue that. I have a hard time believing, because here's the thing. Yeah, even if Yu Darvish doesn't pitch well and he gives up 2 or 3, like I don't expect. I mean, then you'll have the Padres bullpen with a full slate of arms. I mean, I just have a hard time believing you see a whole bunch of runs here. That's part of the reason why I didn't want to play Padres minus 1.5, because I didn't want it to be 2-1 in the 7th and then the Padres win with their bullpen and then I'm with my pants down.
I'm adding this under to my maybe list. I now have 4 on there. I'm going to pick 2 of these at the end. All right. One more baseball game, and then we got Ski just joined in the background. We're going to do Bills Cardinals first. Ski's coming on to talk Bills Cardinals. So we'll get into the NFL in just 1 second. One last baseball game, and it's Toast's favorite pitcher, Zach Gallen. We've been fading Zach Gallen on the road for a while now. It's as is tradition here, but
not tonight, right?
I honestly, if you bet Birdsong again after what he's done to you the last few times, I'm beginning to think you have a problem. How do you trust this guy again? He's lost it. He shouldn't even be in the major leagues.
He's lost it. He's lost it. Got it.
Well, I don't know. What is it about this guy that triggers you so much? He's not good.
Not even the fact, because you guys don't know what you're talking about. That's the first thing. The second thing is that where are all these horrible starts for Hayden Birdsong? I mean, let's just do we want to go through it, or are we
I
just
would love
gonna
to.
Okay, let's do that. On the road in Milwaukee, division leading team, one of the best teams.
You just said they're not that good. You were just saying that about Milwaukee.
I don't think they're that good right now. But this was again. You're talking about a rookie, a 20-year-old kid that's going in there facing one of the best teams in their division, or the best team in their division. But you guys don't want to talk about the 4 innings that he pitched a no-hit ball against Seattle. What about the 4 innings of 1-hit ball against Oakland? Detroit,
4
Washington,
innings.
yes, bad starts, but 2 very good starts. I mean, my point being is that there's this idea out there that, and by the way, the Washington start was more luck than anything. I mean, C.J. Abrams hit a ball that was at his freaking eyes. You can shake your head all you want.
Bat
but
speed.
The fact of the matter is, that was lucky more than anything. That was not bat speed. That was just luck more than anything. Reese David, stop. Not to mention the fact that you have Zach Gallen, who is the definition of fade on the road, the definition of average. And by the way, let's just take a look. Is our poll, how many votes for our poll are on the Giants? Go ahead.
Prop
What's
Beaver's
the
putting it up.
percentage?
Prop Beaver's putting it up now.
Because I would love to see a percentage, because I think I'm the only person in the world holding a San Francisco money line ticket at plus 120, yet the line's at plus 110 now. We call that reverse line movement in the biz. Okay, that's a good thing.
In the biz. Is that what we call that?
So yeah. And by the way,
It doesn't mean shit if you lose the bet.
We'll find out tonight. San Francisco. He just crashed.
Oh wow. 70% Arizona.
I mean,
Okay,
I will say it is pretty ballsy.
It's
of
pretty
Toast
one-sided.
to call the polls out and then for the polls to prove.
Yeah,
them
this
right.
is going to be a Toast. Toast is a moron moment if he's wrong here, calling the entire viewership
Or-
out.
Toast enjoying life on his own island.
He likes it out there.
I do like it out here. So, and by the way, Zach Gallen, last 2 times he's faced the Giants, pretty damn good. 10 innings, 15 hits, 9 runs. It's decent. It's been decent. So, not to mention, the Giants didn't use any of their major arms last night. Justin Martinez went 20 pitches. Ryan Thompson went 5. Send out Ginkel and Seawald tonight. Send them out there, boys. Send them out there.
Against the
I
Giants,
pray
they'll probably
to
be all
God.
right.
Yeah,
All
for
right,
sure.
let's get into some NFL prop people. We're going to start with Cardinals Bills. We'll do that
Sounds
one
good,
first. Later, Toast. Ski's coming on. Ski, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are in this game, because Prop Beaver has become so as we've been going through the teams, there's a lot of people that are big on the Cardinals this year, and Prop Beaver hates it. He is not one of them. So I'm curious to see if you are a Cardinals person. You just hit that. Yeah, there you go.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
What up? I'm not here to talk so much about the spread, but I do think the Cardinals will take a step in the right direction, and I'm more down on the Bills, so I guess I'll be leaning more towards the Cardinal side.
All right.
I want to talk about the total, though, mostly.
All right, cool. I'm down with that. Let's get Prop Beaver on the screen real quick. The filter, chroma key. Click filters. I click on it. It's probably the wrong green. Yeah, see, that's a terrible green. No, you hit the no. Don't change the green. Change
Now
the
I gotta
bar.
look like 21 Savage.
Change
bro.
the
One
level.
second. Jesus Christ.
Why did you do that? You had the right green. You had to adjust the bar beneath it.
All right, what's that? Okay, I'm so sorry.
What are you doing?
I'm so sorry. Now I'm panicking.
Hit cancel.
Okay, cancel.
You had the right green. Adjust the thing below it. What are you doing?
You got me panicking now.
Up. You've done this 1,000. Down. Right. You've done this 1,000 times, bro.
Oh, okay, there we go, Ski. Holy shit. Sorry, man.
Oh my god. Forgot to take his meds this morning. All right, Proper, put yourself on the screen so you can give everyone your anti-Arizona card. Also, turn your color correction off because people were making fun. Making fun of you yesterday.
Let's he go first. He's our guest. Jeez.
Well, okay. So we're gonna start with Bills Cardinals. I currently don't have a bet down on this game. There are a lot of people, and I'm not just saying like, oh, the general. Like, there's a lot of people, a lot of sharp people that are big on the Cardinals this year, for sure. And they do make a lot of good points. I'm not anti-Cardinals. Prop Beaver's anti-Cardinals. He's a Cardinals hater to the maximum. There's a lot of room for improvement there. Thing is, I don't know if it's the type of improvement we see week 1 on the road in Buffalo. But like Ski said, I'm also not that big on the Bills. So how do we want to start this? Prop Beaver, why don't you go ahead and put a Cardinals-Bills poll up? As of right now, this is one of the games I don't have a bet on. I think as of right now, Ski said he wanted to talk about the total. Are you leaning under as well?
I'm not leaning under.
You're leaning over?
I think that there's going to be more overs to start the year than unders. I know the past couple years have been unders, but we have a few things changing this year. For one, we got the kickoff changes, and that pretty much is just going to equal better position. Like on average, teams were starting at the 26-yard line last season. If we just look, I know it's a small sample, but all we can look at is what we've seen. The preseason, I think there was 49 games, and the average starting position was closer to the 30. And you look at the returns, because with the kickoff, right, they can't kick into the end zone or can't kick up past the 20. So the returns are longer. Like if you look at the returns at 35 plus, it doubled from the year before in the preseason. Looking at, you can go on and on, 40 yards, 50 yards, 30 yards. So we're going to get longer returns. We're going to get penalties because nobody's used to it. Then you have the hip drop tackle, which is first down and 15 yards. That's something. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot in the preseason because people weren't tackling a lot or like seriously, in my opinion. So
right
to start the year, I think we'll get a lot of those penalties. I think it'll be enforced hard, like we've seen some other, penalties that they've introduced. And so I think those things tend themselves more to over than under. And then I look at both of these teams. For one, you got a healthy Kyler Murray. This is first fully healthy offseason. And he got good weapons to throw to. He has Marvin Harrison Jr., he has McBride. The rushing attack was pretty good. When Murray came back, they were averaging, I think, 5.3 yards per carry, which was number 1. So I like that for them. And then you look at the defense, it's a lot of young guys. Last year, I know they were one of the 3 teams to allow 6 yards per play. And I think it's a team that's just going to take some time for the young guys to get used to it. So not big on the defense, and I am big on the offense. And for the Bills, they lost their entire starting secondary. So I think it's going to take some time for them to start gelling together. And then on the offensive end, I know they lost a couple guys, but they were better when they had 2 tight ends out there. And Josh Allen, in my opinion, is just a one-man army. So I think he'll get the job done offensively. If he's not, he'll be throwing picks, which will help us get the ball going the other direction. I just think there'll be a lot of points. So I took over 48.
It's not that I disagree. In fact, there's a couple things I agree with. The Cardinals' run game was surprisingly good last year, and I expect it to be good again this year. It's more the type of game. I think both teams are going to run the ball. When the Bills changed their offensive coordinator, they were running the ball a lot. In the second half of the season, we saw James Cook get his touches almost doubled. And I just think both teams are going to run the football, which means the clock is going to run, and I don't necessarily trust them to punch it into the end zone. I mean, sometimes the ball could be moving nonstop. You're like, wow, this offense, first down after first down, they get stopped on the 13, and all of a sudden it's like, shit, 7 minutes went by and it's only 3 points. Like, so I called it right. The offense is moving, but I only ended up with I think the clock is going to be rolling. This is, like I said, I have bets down on 7 or 8 games. This isn't one of them. I kind of, if it stays below the touchdown, maybe I don't know. If it goes back up to 7, maybe
I'm not willing to lay with the Bills. I would only be looking at the Cardinals. So I'm honestly interested to hear what Beaver has to say.
He's anti-Cardinal. if a 7 flashes, maybe I'd jump in at Cards plus 7. But I very seriously doubt it would, because there's a lot of sharp people that are on the Cardinals here. So I very seriously doubt we're going to have an opportunity to get a 7. So as of right now, just a pass for me. Let's hear the Cardinals hater go.
Yeah. So, I just don't really get what people are seeing with the Cardinals. I understand what Ski was saying with the hope in terms of the run game. Like, James Conner was awesome last season. That dude, for what he was doing at his age, all the respect in the world. Congratulations. But now he's another year older, and for him to replicate that at this age, it's just like, is that sustainable? I don't know. On top of that, I hate to say this because I was really hopeful about this guy coming into the league, but Kyler Murray at this point, I do have to go ahead and say at this point, I do believe is a bit overrated. Let's just go ahead and look at the numbers. If we look at DVOA going into the last 2 games of last season, he was at negative 14%. You could say he was coming off of the ACL injury, but the matter of the fact is it was at negative 14%. His 2 previous seasons, he had negative DVOAs. That would have been now 3 seasons in a row. He had negative passing DVOAs. You could counteract that with, okay, well, he must have some value added with his legs. No, he hasn't had a positive rushing DVOA in 3 seasons either. So he's not adding much value offensively. And when did his DVOA go to 0%, just a base level value last year when he faced the Eagles and the Seahawks, who were the worst 2 defenses down the stretch last season. So I just really feel that Kyler Murray is completely overrated offensively. And everybody's thinking that Marvin Harrison is going to save this offense, but that is just not how drafting of rookies, high value receivers in the draft works offensively. I can't find the exact thing from FTN here offensively without really holding up the show, but there's a study that tends to show that when you draft
a wide receiver in the top 10 pick, you have a terrible first year and a good second year or something,
exactly,
right?
That's what it tends to be. And in fact, 6 of the 50 largest drop-offs for teams in this scenario have happened to the Arizona Cardinals. So
6 of the 50?
Yes, exactly. So I just don't think that the Arizona Cardinals offense is actually going to be all that improved this year. In fact, it actually may somewhat take a step back, which sounds crazy, from the second half improvement they saw with Kyler Murray. So I'm just really not seeing it for them. And I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the Bills offense, which sounds crazy because, right, I was shitting on them in the offseason. I was saying they lost Diggs. I was saying they lost Davis, who I'm not even that high on. How are they going to be able to run the ball with the lost verticality? Because when you lose the verticality, then teams can stack the box against you. They don't have to worry about getting a beat deep. But the Cardinals defense is a bunch of JV players. I don't know if people are like not looking at defenses when they evaluate teams or whatever. The Cardinals defense is one of the biggest jokes I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm sorry. I mean, I hate to be a dick, but Jesus Christ, this defense is absolutely terrible. And I don't think I need to really go deeper into analysis than that. Just go look at it for yourself. Their ranks last year were horrendous. I don't think they get better. What did they improve in? Nothing. They brought in the cornerback from Rutgers, Andy. I was talking with my college associate here. The guy from corner, Melton. He's a dog. Unless he's playing the 10 other positions for the Cardinals, I don't think the defense is going to improve. So, I'm not seeing it. Also, just wanted to give another bonus pick for you guys, which I love here. Josh Allen, minus 150 to score a touchdown this week. James Cook, minus 150 to score a touchdown this week. But who has
You're giving out
most...
minus 150 ATDs?
Yes. No. Please, sir. Have some patience, my friend.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
But do you know who I feel has the most value to score a touchdown this week? It's the backup running back, Mr. Ray Davis, at plus 650. They drafted
the Kentucky product?
They drafted this absolute bowling ball out of Kentucky for a reason, my friends. They're not happy with little James Cook at the goal line. He's just not getting it done.
Why is he little? He's not
little James Cook, my friends. Little Cookster is just not getting it done at the goal line. They need a bowling ball to get in the hole, and Sweet Baby Ray is the man to do it. So plus 650. I think this one could get ugly.
Wow.
It's early in the season. Put Cook on the sideline. Get dirty with Davis.
Well, for me, just put up Arizona plus the points, but I'm not betting that. But for the show, we're giving out a pick in this game where I think it's very coin flippy. I'll just take the plus 6.5. It's not that I disagree with what you're saying, Prop Beaver, about the Cardinals defense. I'm not big on the Bills offense this year. So it would be Cardinals plus the points or the under for me. Well, let's go on to Ski. You're taking off.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
Clear off the pic so everyone can see his Twitter name.
1 second.
If you put, I like what Beaver was saying, but I'll just say, like, who's on that Bills secondary? Who's on their defense? I don't know.
DeMar Hamlin.
How much they can do?
I got trust in those guys. Wait 1 second. Well, yes,
I don't wanna say
Hamlin
that
is
the
a
dad-
Yeah,
resident.
I know. It's the Miracle Man.
I'm trying to get these graphics out the way for Ski. Where the hell
They're
is
under
that?
3 people.
Oh, okay. No, I'm aware. 1 second. The text and the extra. There we go.
All right, so that's his Twitter right there, Ski Profit. He comes on all the time during basketball season. So if you're here during basketball season, you already know who he is. But if you're new here, just seeing it for the first time, he has his own YouTube channel, does a daily show about 2.5 hours before mine. So it's spelled just like that, Ski Profit. He's also tagged in the response to my tweet. So if you follow me on Twitter, make sure you give him a follow. Ski, thanks for joining, man. I'll send you a message.
Appreciate you.
We'll pick out a game for next week or something where you want to come on.
Sounds good. Good luck to you guys.
Yep, later, man.
Ski, Razul and Benford. Don't sleep. What the hell?
He already left, dude. All right.
Hey,
Do you want to switch it over to 2 people? Or do you want to, I mean, I don't care. We can stick with the 3-person template.
we'll go to 2. What are we just gonna have a gap in the middle of the screen for no reason? Let's go to the 2.
Well, if you switch off the game, is it going to switch to 2?
I don't know.
There we go.
Okay.
He removed himself. All right, Panthers, Saints. And I got to say, I had kind of a change of heart on this one. And I shouldn't say change of heart because the only people that even knew that I like the Saints are just the people in the Discord from like a month and a half ago. So it's not like I put out a video about taking the Saints or anything. I think I might have mentioned it in the Saints preview, but we were looking at this. I honestly, are we about to bet Panthers +4?
I don't know if we're about to bet Panthers +4, but I think
Panthers. I think Carolina's gonna be able to run the ball. I'm done. I'm selling all my stock on the Saints defensive front. Selling it all. Not that I owned any, but if I had it, I'd sell it.
I mean, stock in the Saints defensive front. When did we own anything in that? I think we owned stock in the Saints being a somewhat reputable team, and that I think my stock in that. I have stock in the Saints offense taking the step forward. It's stock in the Saints taking a step forward as a whole. I don't know if I could do that, dude. Dennis Allen just sucks, dude. The guy's a disgrace.
Yeah, I do have to say I'm a little surprised at how Dennis Allen is so openly hated by people in the media. And by no means do I like Dennis Allen, but I feel like he's the only coach in the NFL, and it was probably Staley last year, where you're like openly allowed on your YouTube channel to be like, oh, this guy's trash, and no one says anything.
Well, to be fair, I mean, he just like openly shits on his players in the media in ruthless ways. I mean, you would think that Kendre Miller like killed a family member of his openly. It's actually absurd. So I don't know what is the deal with him and Kendre Miller. And also, he's one of the most losingest coaches of all times. I don't know if losingest is a word, but he is one of the most losingest coaches of all time and manages to just skate by free with a job every single year. So I feel there's some frustration there from football fans alike, wondering why the hell does this guy have a job? And innovative coaches around the league are looking for jobs every year and not getting them.
Okay, so let's get into why. Can you put up the poll for Panthers Saints, please? And what I would like to get into is why I do not feel I can trust the Saints defensive front entering this season. Now, if you've been following NFL for the last few years, you know that Dennis Allen and this Saints team, they kind of got branded as this tough, physical defensive front seven. They had a top 5, top 6 run defense every single year, even back to before when Sean Payton left, when Dennis Allen was the DC. The defense was tough against the run. And here's the thing. All the pieces that comprises that defensive front seven, they're aging. Demario, what is he, 35 now?
35 years old now.
Who else? Granderson's getting up there. Cameron Jordan, 35 years old.
Yes.
The pieces that made the Saints, that made up the Dennis Allen defensive front, that was an elite run defense for years, are aging. And they really didn't do anything to improve it. Last year, we finally saw the production because, I mean, last couple of years, you probably heard some people saying, hey, these guys are getting old. The Saints aren't going to be a great run defense forever. But we actually saw it on the field last year. The Saints had a below-average run defense. I believe they were 18th in run defense DVOA, something like that. So for the first time, instead of it just being on paper like, oh, these guys are getting old, we actually saw it translate on the field. We actually saw the Saints run defense finish with
It
below
was
average
worse than that,
production.
Kyle. They were 25th in rush defense DVOA.
25th?
Yes, 19th in adjusted line yards, 22nd in yards per carry allowed. A flat out bad rush defense last year.
So, okay, wow, that's worse than I thought, honestly.
Yeah.
I knew it was bad. So, wow, that's worse. So the Saints, bad run defense last year, and that was like for the first time in forever. And here's the thing. They didn't do anything to improve it. Who would they bring in? Chase Young? What does that do against the run?
No, that's not. They brought in Willie Gay from the Kansas City Chiefs. That would be the main thing to address the rush defense. They brought in Chase Young to address their pass rush, which is horrendous. Chase Young in the playoffs, if anything, was the biggest liability in the rush defense for the 49ers. Now, Chase Young is the main thing to address that pass rush. But yeah, Chase Young's not even listed as a starter on the defensive line. That is how far he has fallen off. Yeah, the Saints' defensive front is an absolute nightmare, and that's what I really think opens things up for the Panthers here. I've been vocal all offseason talking about how Dave Canales, you got to separate the QB coach from the play caller. Very excited about the QB coach and what improvements we can see in Bryce Young's game this season, but I'm a bit worried about the play caller because he could put Bryce Young in a lot of third down situations because last year he was really stubborn. He just liked to run a lot of these like short hitches, a lot of these runs up the gut with Rachaad White into an interior offensive line that was amongst the worst in the league. It didn't really make any sense. Rachaad White, unfortunately, just being, if you look at the stats, not a very good running back. And the Bucs offensive line, interior offensive line, one of the worst in the league. But now you have Chuba Hubbard, which on paper, not many people are going to look at it like this. He's actually a pretty damn good running back. You look at 2022, before he ran behind one of the worst offensive lines of football last year. This was a guy who was first in efficiency, first in time of line behind the line of scrimmage, 9th in yards per carry, a very effective running back. And you invested in this line in the offseason. You got Robert Hunt, an immediate impact player. Damian Lewis, who's going to be men's. We don't know. He could be good. He could be okay. And then Austin Corbett, who was injured all of last season, but could be very effective as well. Then you add in the fact that you got Taylor Moton, who is very strong in pass protecting, Okonwu, whose strength is in run blocking, balancing out each other's faults on the outside. You now have a pretty strong edge on the offensive line against the Saints defensive line who just doesn't have it anymore. I mean, where's the pressure being created? 35-year-old Cameron Jordan, Carl Granderson, Chase Young, who, as I just mentioned, isn't being even listed as a starter anymore. So a Carolina Panthers offensive line that was a flat-out liability last season has now become a strength in this matchup, which is absolutely insane. So that's what I really think adds value here, because if you're catching 4 points on something that cost them games last year almost weekly, this is now something that's a strength to them. I just think that in a spot where you're catching 4 points, that is something valuable. And then the other thing I wanted to note,
I want to put your picks up because people are probably like, well, what pick are they even making?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So the Saints defense is one that runs a lot of man coverage. Deontay Johnson was brought in the offseason. That was a massive acquisition because Kyle always likes to make fun of me because I'm a Deontay Johnson truther. I'm always talking about.
Deontay Johnson truther?
Yeah, I'm a Deontay Johnson truther.
Why do you make it sound like a conspiracy theory?
I think it is a theory. The theory is that he's one of the better receivers in the NFL, and Kyle likes to think that he's just this average guy, just this regular Joe Schmo off the street, and it's truly disrespectful. It's not the case.
Sorry, so would I be a Deontay Johnson denier?
Yeah, you are a denier, and it's disgusting.
Andy went like this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Andy knows you deny the way of Deontay, and it's disgusting. And I think Deontay could really be a big help in this game because what did Bryce Young really struggle against? Man coverage. Saints, one of the biggest man coverage rates in the league last year, and Deontay Johnson against man coverage with, may I mind you, the elite duo of Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky at quarterback last year. 5th in yards after catch per reception, 12th in yards per reception. 12th in yards per out run, 4th in yards per reception against man coverage. The dude's elite when he's not dropping the ball and grabbing for his hamstring. So I think the offensive side of the ball is there.
Give me Panthers +4 up for me, please.
I want to let you talk, and then we'll talk about the other side.
Well, it's simple. I think Carolina can run the ball on the Saints defense because the Saints run defense, like I said, is doing this. And look, Carolina's run game wasn't anything special last year, but as Prop Beaver pointed out a few different angles, should take a step forward this year. And I think even if Carolina's run game is slightly below average, let's say it goes from about 24th to 20th to 19th, still think they can run the ball on the Saints here. And if Carolina's going to be able to move the chains on the ground in this game, there's no reason for the Saints to be laying more than a field goal, because on the offensive side of the ball, the Saints have weapons. And you know what? Now that we're going to see Clint Kubiak calling the plays for the Saints, probably bringing a lot more quick hits, getting the ball out of Derek Carr's hands faster into the hands of the weapons like they did in San Francisco. That's where he comes from. I think there's reason to think the Saints offense takes a step forward, but in week 1, as long as Carolina, sorry for stumbling, as long as Carolina is able to run the ball, which I believe they will be able to, then I'm pretty confident that Carolina +4 is going to be the side you want to be on. Can you put that up for me?
Oh yes, Captain. I am getting there. Now, do you want to talk about the other side of the ball? Because that's where I'm scared. That's why I actually took my little pick.
I kind of did. It's just you could sum up how I feel about the Saints offense in this game with 2 sentences. Sentence number 1, I don't like the offensive line. I don't trust either tackle. They have 2 young tackles. One's a rookie. The other one's a second year, and he had a really rough rookie year last year. So I don't trust either offensive tackle. I don't trust the Saints offensive line. They don't have a rushing attack. Yeah, Derek Carr's got a lot of arm talent, and they do have some athletes at receiver, no question. I won't question that. But with a new OC calling the plays, an offensive line I don't trust, and no run game, as long as Carolina can run the ball, I think this is going to be the side to be on.
Yeah, so I wound up changing my Hubbard pick because the Panthers pick, because ultimately the pick I came into this with was the over, because I am excited. I was talking about the Panthers originally here, just the Panthers offensive side of the ball. I am excited about the Panthers side of the ball because I really like the rushing game here. I saw Hubbard's line at 54.5. I feel like that's honestly a bit disrespectful. If you look at how he finished the season when he really became the bell cow, which he should be here, over in 1, 2, 3, 4 of his last 6 games, and he was flying over that mark, getting tons of carries, 25, 23, 22, 16, 11, and 23. I mean, if he's going to get those carries with an improved offensive line, a real offensive threat on the outside, not just Adam Thielen, no offense, Adam, but I mean, now you got at least Deontay on the outside too, taking away some of that threat. I think that could be really big for Hubbard. So 54.5 yards, I think that could get up to 59.5 by kickoff. So I'm going to lock that in today, honestly, as soon as I'm off the stream. And then on the other side of the ball, I'm going to try and really just shorten this up so we could get through this. Main thing, offensive coordinator change. That is huge. Pete Carmichael, very uninnovative. Ran the ball a lot early on first downs, did not use play action, did not use motion. Now we got Clint Kubiak. Lots of play action. Going to get a lot of motion. That is really good for this offense because we need yards after catch. Shanahan disciples get yards after catch. The Saints offense last year was amongst the worst in yards after catch. And the Panthers defense is absolutely gutted from last season. They lost everybody. I mean, they lost Dante Jackson Jr. They lost who else? They lost obviously they lost Brian Burns. They lost Jeremy Chin, the hybrid safety / cornerback. On top of that, Dane Jackson is on the IR. So now you got guys like Troy Hill and Michael Jackson playing a rung where they even should be on the depth chart. I just think that this is a nice spot to buy low on the Saints offense, who was horrible when they played the Panthers last year. I mean, Derek Carr in the 2 games when he played them, 173 yards per game, 63 completion percentage, 5.6 yards per attempt, and a 75 average passer rating. I mean, that is putrid. So in this spot with a new offensive coordinator, Olave on the field, I think this could be a nice prime spot to buy low on that, on this unit here. I mean, could Carr possibly be worse than that? In one of those games, I believe he scored 24 plus points or something like that, despite being pitiful. And with the improvement we expect from the Panthers, I mean, if they could score 20 plus points themselves, that's 44 right there. So, yeah, I definitely like the over and Hubbard 55 plus here.
All right, let's move on to Patriots, Bengals.
And that will be our shortest breakdown yet.
Of all the entire week 1.
Of all time.
What is there to say? Our graphics is 7.5. This one's actually at 8 on most sports books.
Oh,
Who
it
cares?
moved up?
Yeah, it must have moved up in the last couple.
Thing.
Yeah, it must have moved up in the last couple hours. So Prop Beaver said under, set it and forget it. Kind of hard to argue with that because we could sit here and laugh at the Patriots team, the current situation they're in, and it's hard. It's hard to make a case for this team to be good this year. I mean, even some of the bad teams, there's like a path for them to being decent. I don't even really see the path for the Patriots. I think most people are in agreement. This is probably the worst team in the NFL. But when you look at their defensive roster, you take a look at the depth chart, it's the same DC. I mean, well, Belichick, but now it's the guy that's the DC now was still there last year, so it should be a similar defense. It was a top 3 defense last year. They bring back most of the same personnel, minus Matthew Judon, but Matthew Judon was hurt for most of last year anyway, and a couple pieces that were hurt on the Patriots secondary, like Christian Gonzalez, for example, are back and healthy. So there's no question that the Patriots defense will be good. As far as the Patriots record, maybe they only win 2 games, but it's very hard to argue against the Patriots defense being top 5, top 10 again. And if that's the case, first week of the season, there's some uncertainty with this Cincinnati Bengals team. It's kind of hard to argue with the under. I mean, part of me thinks, well, do you think Cincinnati's going to score 35? No? Then take the under because I don't think the Patriots are going to reach double digits. So go ahead and give us your reasoning for the under. I know it's going to be a short one.
Basically, I'm banking on a bit of positive regression from the Bengals defense. This unit was awful last year in just about every regard. I mean, the year before, at least they showed promise in most regards. Their pass defense was amongst the best units in the league. I know they lost Jesse Bates and Von Bell, but you would think they go from maybe a top 10 unit to, 18th, 17th. No, I mean, they literally went to one of the worst units in all of football. So I'm hoping that they could at least bounce back in the pass defense standpoint. And in this matchup, you would really hope they can bounce back from a pass defensive standpoint because your threats are Hunter Henry, Jalen Polk in his first NFL game. Oh my Lord, KJ Osborne. I mean, it's just not pretty. And then the offensive line. I mean, you're looking at Trey Hendrickson against the likes of like, I don't even know some of these offensive linemen. They're so bad. It's just so brutal. The Patriots offensive line that I was kind of sticking up for in the season preview, being like, hey, Patriots over 4.5. The offensive line can't be that bad, right? I mean, they at least have symmetry from like sticking together in the offseason. I mean, from having some reps together last season. No, they are that bad. Like, they are that bad. I mean, this offensive line is horrible. So, Patriots should be able to get a lot of pressure here. I mean, Bengals should be able to get a lot of pressure here. The one thing I will give them is that the Bengals rush defense was already so bad last year, and now you're losing DJ Reader. DJ Reader, remember his splits? Remember the Bengals rush defensive splits with and without DJ Reader on the field? Now you're not going to have DJ Reader. The Bengals rush defense that was already bad could be even worse. Actually, could be the worst in all of football. So
no
maybe
way.
Well, it could be. So maybe they get something going with Ramondre Stevenson, and this is just a low-scoring field goal fest, but that would work into my under. So
Anarumo's too smart for them to be the worst in football.
So that sounds good to me, but I don't know. Honestly, I'm leaning under 40.5 here, and I would also be leaning under Jamar Chase receiving yards. I just saw what it was on Underdog, and it's ridiculous that it's even that high. So under on Jamar Chase receiving yards as well.
Under sounds good. I could probably tell you I won't be betting this game. So let's skip it over and talk Michigan State, Maryland. Okay. Andy's going to come explain himself after telling us Aiden Childs was going to be the man. Oh, yeah. You want to do it?
Yes.
Oh, we're going to do an underdog pick 'em first. Go ahead, Prop Beaver. And then we got 5 college football games to go through right now. What Prop Beaver's going to do is underdog first.
Yes, I do have an underdog. Just let me pull it up real quick. Out of my handy dandy notebook.
You want to just... okay.
All right, here we go. So, yeah, Jamar Chase under 87.5 receiving yards. I mean, folks, the guy hasn't practiced all summer. Jesus. No, I'm trying to limit my trying to limit my use of those two words. Trying to keep the Christian folks along board with us this season. So Jamar Chase lower than 87.5 receiving yards. Kyler Murray higher than 31.5 rushing yards. Because I think that he's just going to be scrambling around back there. The Bills pass rush, even though they weren't getting a lot of pressure from the edge last season, they still were getting a ton of pressure. And the 2 times that they saw rushing quarterbacks last season, they really struggled against them. I know that Ski mentioned that they lost their safeties last year. I don't really care about that. They still got dogs in the secondary. Keep doubting my boy DeMar. He came back to life. He's ready to avenge. And we also got Chuba Hubbard higher than 54.5 rushing yards because we think he's going to run all over New Orleans. So
I like that last one for sure.
Thanks. So those are 3. You didn't like the first 2, though. So those are 3 picks for the underdog pick'em for those 3. For the 3 games we discussed today, basically.
If you don't know, underdog fantasy accounts available in any state highlighted in this there it is, this map. So if you're one of the states highlighted in yellow, head over to the website Underdog Fantasy or download the app. When you make your account, use the promo code BET, BET. That'll get you $1,000 deposit bonus match, a 50% deposit bonus match up to $1,000. That's BET, bet. Let's talk college football. Let's get Andy's incorrect ass on the screen. Yeah, I love how Andy does 1 week of college football here, and the comments are like, fade this guy, he sucks. Didn't take long for.
I mean, to be fair, I agree. Nah. He's a good kid.
All right.
Let me get off the screen.
Michigan State on the road against the Terps. One of these teams looked very impressive in week 1. One of them most definitely did not. So we're going to be playing the who's game. Now, obviously, I'm talking about Maryland. Very dominant win over UConn. Not the way I expected that game to go. I like the under in that game. And UConn certainly did their part to hit the under. But Maryland's offense with Billy Edwards Jr. looked a lot more explosive than I expected it to. Maybe Talia Tagovailoa really wasn't that great. No, Webster. So, obviously, based on what we saw last week, no question, everyone's going to be coming in on Maryland here. And, I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong or right or anything. I'm just saying everyone's going to be coming in on Maryland here. Last week, the Terps look absolutely dominant against UConn. Michigan State, they almost lost. They were the better team, and they won 16-10. I'm not saying they should have lost, but FAU had a brand new offense, a new offensive line, new receivers, new running backs, a new quarterback. The whole offense was new. Final score was 16-10. Michigan State struggled with a Florida Atlantic team that doesn't have an offense. Maryland looks like they most definitely have an offense. So what do we see here? Was that just a flat spot for Michigan State, and do they show up here on the road in Maryland? Because I actually think that they show up on the defensive side here. That's what I'm thinking. But you guys go first, and then I'll share my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start here. I didn't bet on Michigan State last week, but I was very clear how I feel about this team. I have their over on wins this year, and I had chalked Maryland up as a game where I thought was very winnable. Still think it is. I think this number is a little bit of an overreaction. Prop Beaver said something really that kind of hit to me yesterday. He's going to take week 2 and he's going to come into it the same way he came into the season. And I agree. I think I need to not overreact with this game. Maybe yesterday was a bit of an overreaction the way I came into work and kind of shit on Aiden Childs and Michigan State. I still think he's going to be good. I'm not giving up on him. And I don't necessarily think this team will be nearly as bad on offense as they were, because they were really bad. They had the benefit of a 60-yard run in that game too. You're not going to get many of those this season. So they were just all out. They were lucky they won that game. But also, Maryland's not going to be as good as they were every week. I mean, I thought I hit that game pretty well last week. I thought they were going to throw all over UConn. UConn had one of the worst pass defenses in the country last year, and it looked pretty damn good. It looked pretty damn close to what they were last year, right? They looked awful, and Billy Edwards looked really good. Aiden Childs looked the opposite of that. He looked awful. I think they'll both play a little bit more into the middle. I think Childs has to be better. I think Edwards will come back down to earth. This pass rush from Michigan State looked really good against FAU. I know it was FAU, but but they looked really good. So I think they'll get pressure on them. Maryland won't be able to run nearly as well as they did against UConn. This is not UConn. Michigan State's way better. The secondary is a concern for Michigan State, but I think they'll get enough pressure to really keep this one close. I think these teams are very close. I think that this line's a bit of an overreaction to what we saw week 1. I really think Michigan State's closer to like a 3 to 4 point in this game. Wow. And talent-wise, these teams are just so similar. So, yeah, I'm not going to overreact to what I saw week 1.
Scoop?
No. So, following Beavers is like following Homer's Iliad to like Dr. Seuss. I mean, he's like, God, that's like 1,200 pages of Beaver talking. It's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so, I mean, you said it last week, this Maryland team and their defense is going to be a problem. I didn't see them hanging a 50 spot on UConn, but Billy Edwards played a great game. 2 of UConn's defensive backs were ejected for targeting, which, I mean, don't get me started on the targeting rule and how inconsistent it is, but yeah, I mean, even without that, it's the highest offensive output from Maryland since 2020. That's with, Tua's brother out there. I think Billy Edwards may be even better than him. Which Michigan State, the under was the play last week. I know they have a pretty good defense, but yeah, I mean, Childs over there, yikes. I mean, 2 picks, 41% accuracy against an FAU team who, I mean, yeah, has a pretty good defense, but it's not that good. I mean, it's not 41% accuracy good. Not only that, but Michigan State had 12 penalties, 140 yards, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. It looks like they're a little undisciplined there. They didn't even score in the second half that whole game against FAU. So, yeah, I mean, first time Jonathan Smith is traveling to a Big Ten school with a very good defense. Michigan State's offensive line, I think, is going to get steamrolled by this front seven. I'm kind of waiting for an Aiden Childs 2+ interception prop to come out, so I want to bet that. So I just don't see Michigan State hanging in there just because I don't think they have enough offense to do it.
You're laying the 9.5 with the Terps?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I think both of these teams are maybe in a little bit in for a little bit of a wake-up call in terms of what we saw last week. We could poke a lot of holes in Michigan State last week, right? We already have. Aiden Childs certainly struggled in his debut with the team. But you know what? That transfer they brought in from UMass looked pretty freaking good running the football. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown. Not to mention, they have 2 RBs that would start on most FBS teams. So they have 2 good backs. And you know what? FAU, that should be a really good run defense this year. So what Michigan State was able to do on the ground against FAU, that was impressive and basically won them the game because certainly they didn't have a passing attack. Probably not going to happen in this one on the road against Maryland. A run defense that was solid last year that brings back a ton of production. So the running production we saw from Michigan State last week against FAU, although impressive, and I'm not taking away credit, FAU's front seven is solid. On the road against the Terps, defense is different. I don't think their run game's going to be there. But what I think is going to happen, if I'm Michigan State, I'm not letting Aiden Childs run around and be the superstar. I'm going back to what worked last week, to what won me the football game. So even though I don't think Michigan State is going to be able to run it, I think they're certainly going to try to. And you know what? They'll move the chains here and there. They have 2 good backs. So I expect the clock to be rolling on that side, moving the chains, maybe punting, pinning Maryland deep. And then on the other side, I'm going under. Yes, under 43.5 prop viewer. And then on the other side, Maryland's offense looked explosive. But you know what? Let's give some credit to Michigan State's defense. I believe they brought back all 3 linebackers from last year. And they were making plays. They forced some fumbles. Granted, FAU's offense should be pretty bad. They didn't let them do shit. So what Billy Edwards just did last week, what the Maryland offensive line just did last week. By the way, that Maryland offensive line is brand new. Hasn't been tested yet. It's about to be. I think these Michigan State linebackers are talent-wise a small step above most of the players that are on Maryland's offense. So I think Michigan State's defense, specifically those playmaking linebackers, are able to keep Maryland from going off again and pushing this game over the total. Also, I like the fact that I was just talking about Michigan State running the ball. You get the ball on your own 20. You get 2 first downs and punt. That's beautiful for an under. You don't want to punt right away. You want a team that's going to run the ball, get 2 or 3 first downs, and then punt. And that's exactly what I see Michigan State doing. They're going to lose the game, and if I was to pick a side, I probably would lean towards Scoop side here because Maryland did look that much more impressive. But I think Michigan State will run the ball just enough to keep Maryland from blowing this game up. So I think under would be the best play. I haven't bet this one yet. See, you can put Maryland up for me. If I was to pick a side, it would be Maryland. I will say, though, if this touches 10, no shot. If it touches 10, if this gets up to like 10.5, then I think the value would start swinging back the other way. But the under would be my favorite bet for this one. Next up. All right, Andy, talk to us.
Yeah, so this one, I'm going to harp back to what I just said. I don't want to overreact, but UMass is making that pretty damn tough. I will say this. In that game against Eastern Michigan, they just proved they might not be a very good offense because they didn't make mistakes. They didn't have a single turnover. They ran the ball like decently. Tyson Pomachan just couldn't do anything through the air. I mean, he literally couldn't do anything. Threw for 177 yards. Didn't get a touchdown. They weren't near the red zone very often. They just literally could not score. I mean, the offense looked completely stagnant. Now they go up against a Toledo team whose offense is anything but stagnant. They can get a lot done. The UMass secondary didn't look great. Cole Snyder, a guy that I do not have high hopes for, and I do not think he's a very good quarterback. He was tearing this UMass secondary up the other day for over 200 yards. He doesn't do that very often. I think Tucker Gleason can look really good. He looked really good in their game against Duquesne, and he looked really good last year in the little time he played. Really don't like the way that matches up for UMass. I'm not going to bet this, but if I were to pick a side, I'd be on Toledo. When I bet UMass's win total, I did not have Toledo as a win. I don't necessarily think it'll be very close. I think that there's just way too much offense from Toledo, and UMass they didn't inspire me offensively. Let's just say that.
They didn't inspire you?
Really bad. Yeah, they looked really bad. They also gave up 28 points to an Eastern Michigan offense who might be one of the worst in the MAC. So, I mean...
Scoop called that, though.
Yeah, overall, that just didn't look good.
All right, let's move on to Scoop, do you have anything to say? I have nothing to say on this game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Next up, we're only going to be on this. 4 of us. Let's switch back to 3. All right, so next up, we're only going to be on this game for a second. Jacksonville State versus Louisville. The only reason it's on there is because I want to ask, how is this only 28? I mean, do people still think Jacksonville State's good with Logan Smothers at quarterback? Were they not watching?
I mean, Logan Smothers may be worse than Aiden Childs, so...
dude, Andy's gonna get pissed.
I mean, he got benched for Tyler Huff, right? I mean,
I don't know if he got. Hold on, I don't know if he actually got benched or if it was just like this game's over.
I mean, he threw 2 picks too. I mean, but he looked better. But I mean, Rich Rodriguez still doesn't know who's starting against Louisville this weekend, so that's a good problem. Let's just skip this game. Even said that both of them, like even the other 3 quarterbacks on the team can play. I'm like, all right, well, that's cool.
So this next segment, first of all. Sam Houston State crushed me in week 1. I had Rice. Sam Houston State not only covered the number, not only won the game, they beat the Christ out of Rice in that game. That was a savage beatdown. So now they go to the bounce house. So the question is Sam Houston State for real, or did Rice just lay the biggest of all eggs in the opener? What do you guys
think? I talk now, Beaver? Like, am I unmuted or?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Maybe.
Yeah, so
maybe if your mic wasn't making fucking pterodactyl noises, I would not mute you.
All right, would you lay the 22.5 here, Scoop?
No. Yeah, how about that Sam Houston State offense? I told you it's going to be a new offensive explosion for this team. I mean, I picked Rice just because I thought their defense was going to be god awful, but maybe Rice's offense is just god awful. I mean, Hunter Watson, I think, is going to have a great year in Conference USA. Last week I said to bet the over on their games. It's going to hit at a good clip, I think. Didn't hit last week by the hook, but I'm going over here. I like the way Watson played. He scrambled well. Their play calling was on point. The issue is I'm not trusting that defense yet, no matter how good they played against Rice. They had 2 sacks. They had 8 tackles for a loss. They had 2 picks, but Rice looked like shit. And Rice doesn't have the running back room like UCF does. RJ Harvey, Penny Boone, Miles Montgomery. This team had 454 yards on the ground. They're going to be a top 5 rushing attack this year. And I mean, KJ Jefferson's, from the quarterback from Arkansas. As long as he takes care of the ball, for the most part, he's an okay passer. But he can run it too. So the play scheming for UCF is going to put up a lot of points. I don't really like UCF's D-line in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback. So I see this one definitely going over 57.5. I think this is going to be a shootout.
Yeah, full disclosure on this one, I'm an idiot. I was very high on Sam Houston. I mean, you all know I'm an idiot, but I was very high on Sam Houston. I was talking him up. He was calling me stupid. And then I let him talk me into Rice. I bet Rice. And then they go.
Play, bro. It was the right play.
Yeah, it was bad. And I was high on Sam Houston. I'm high on this offense, but I think this is a bit of an overreaction. This is not a 22.5 point talent differential. This is a 4 or 5 touchdown. I mean, UCF's offense is not only are they fast paced, so the over looked great, but they move quicker pace than maybe anybody in the Big 12.
So hold on. You're going to bet KJ Jefferson.
I hate KJ Jefferson, but yeah, I am. I thought he didn't look good. I will say that he started that game terribly. But their running back room can take care of this line by themselves. They're going to run all over Sam Houston. Like you said, this is a relatively new defense. All these guys, they're coming off having an unbelievable game. They're feeling high and mighty after beating Rice, a team that was clearly heavily expected to beat them. Now they're going on the road to one of the toughest places to play in the Big 12. I mean, in the Big 12 overall, really. Bounce House's a tough place to play. I think this is going to be brutal for them. I don't usually like taking lines like this with teams that can run, but because UCF runs such a fast pace, I don't necessarily think that matters.
You were so high on Sam Houston.
I like Sam
and
Houston.
You're going to be 0-2 betting against them in the spread. Unreal.
Yeah.
All right. Next game. I have nothing to say here as well. I want to get to the next game, so I have a bet in the next game. Here we go. Kansas versus the Illini. Ooh, you know what? Let me make sure my bet is still available. I'm going to feel like an asshole of giving this out if you can't still get it. All right. Yeah, you can still get it. Okay. So, Pop Beaver, I have Illinois first half plus 3.5. So, I like the Illini side. I don't know if we have a graphic for it. Yeah, sorry. I didn't tell any. So Illinois first half plus 3.5, but I do like Illinois plus the points as my bet as well. So what is the weakness of this Illinois team this year? I think the biggest uncertainty would be the defensive line, right? They lost all 4 starters, and look, they're really missing the DC. What's his name that's now with Purdue?
Walters.
They're really missing Walters with that defense, and the defensive line's gone, and that's the weakness, right? And you might think, oh man, that's Kansas and their rushing attack. This is a perfect offense to exploit it. Well, not really, because Kansas, although they got the NFL quarterback, right, Jalen Daniels, they got the NFL running back, right, Devitt Neal, they got NFL caliber receivers. Kansas is loaded at the fantasy football positions. I'm not so sure about Kansas offensive line this year. They lost the entire left side, the left tackle, the left guard, and the center. The left tackle and the center were both all conference. Those are their 2 best pieces. So I'm not sure about Kansas offensive line. And if there's one thing you could always hang your hat on in football, like any level, collegiate, NFL, any level of football, something you can hang your hat on, the market will always overvalue the guys who score the touchdowns and undervalue the offensive line, of course. So there's... Just by simple football logic, people are going to love this Kansas offense, and if the offensive line doesn't perform, it's going to be overvalued, right? So I don't think Kansas is necessarily the right offense to exploit the weak spot of the Illini defense. Now, what about the other side of the ball? Well, I don't think you need much selling on fading the Kansas defense. I mean, what year that you never need to be sold on that. Illinois brings back their quarterback, Altmaier. And if you look at his numbers from last year, Okay, 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Doesn't look great. But keep in mind, this dude had a 0 touchdown, 4 interception game against Penn State. And in fact, if you take Altmaier's numbers, he only played, I think, 8 games. So he didn't, or 8 or 9 games. So if you take Altmaier's numbers, and I did this last night, I should have written them down. But if you take Altmaier's numbers last night, Altmaier's numbers from last season, and look at them, and then take out the Penn State game, it's like, oh shit, like it looks completely different if you take out that one terrible game against Penn State. And I especially what I especially like about Altmaier here, he finished the season strong. I actually want to pull it up so I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to estimate. Illinois football schedule. So, 1 second, sorry. Altmaier. Okay, ready? So, last year. So Altmaier takes over, right, as the quarterback. His first 3 games were rough. After 3 games, the third one being Penn State, he had 3 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Illinois was 1-2. Wasn't looking great. But then as the season progresses, the last 3 games of the year, at Maryland, which is a tough place to play. Maryland's defense was tough last year. 2 touchdowns, 200 yards, got the win. Wisconsin played, I mean, they didn't drop him back to throw very often in that game, but he ran for 100 yards in that game. At Minnesota against the Gophers, 3 touchdowns, 212 yards, beat Minnesota in Minnesota. So he finished off the year strong. Coming into this year, they have high hopes for him. Kansas defense isn't very good. And finally, for the kicker, the reason that I'm betting the first half, look at Altmaier's, well, there's 2 reasons. One, look at Altmaier's first half, second half splits on his career, by the way. We'll just use last year. In the first half, he's completing 68.5% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 7.6 yards per attempt, 146 passer rating. In the second half, 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, completion percentage way down, passer rating way down. This dude, for whatever reason, is just much better in the first half of games. And on top of that, another reason I like the first half, this is Jalen Daniels' first road game in a calendar year. It's his first road game in a year. Since September 16th, I believe, is the last time he played on the road. So, I mean, maybe a little flustered. The crowd rocking, right? His first game back last week, he threw an interception to Lindenwood on the second drive. So, maybe a little flustered. I like this guy, the Illinois defense to come out and score, the Illinois offense to come out and score a touchdown early, throw the ball in Kansas. So, I think getting more than a field goal in the first half is the right side. I think Illinois might be winning the game at half. And, in fact, I think Illinois also is a decent bet on the full game.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think this is a sneaky spot for Illinois. In this game last year, Kansas ran for 6 yards a carry. That was at Kansas. This one's obviously now in Illinois, so I think that helps. And then I also know that all those Illinois guys are back. The front guys are back. They've brought up 49th in overall returning production on defense, so I like that number. That's good. All those guys are a year older now after getting run all over by this team, and they got better as the season went on last year. As a run defense overall, that was really the only terrible game they had against them. So I think that helps. I don't think Kansas will be able to run nearly that much. And also, Kansas is coming into this. They expect to win this game now. They've got a lot of expectations, something Kansas has never really had in football. All these guys have expectations. They just blew out Lindenwood. They felt really good after week 1, a home win, huge. They've had people talking about them to possibly be a sneaky win for the Big 12. So they're kind of just looking past this non-conference game. Illinois, they don't have a lot of hype around them. They're a pretty middling program right now, but I got to give Bielema the credit. As much as he said that Kyle said that this team, Kansas, is really good at the fantasy football positions, Illinois is really good on the O-line and on the D-line. Now that Saban's retired, I'm gonna try to find
the defensive line. I think it might be good, but they're transfer portal guys though this year.
Yeah, but on the in terms of coaching an O-line, there's nobody left in the country now that Nick Saban's retired that has sent more players to the NFL on the O-line. I'm gonna try to find that stat after, but I read that this is a guy that always has good O-lines.
Right? To the NFL.
Yeah, to the NFL. So yeah, I really like
Hold on. So in case you didn't hear what he said. Yeah. Bielema, the coach of Illinois, now that Saban's gone, no college football coach in the country has sent more offensive linemen to the NFL than Bielema. I always say his name wrong. Bielema.
Yeah, so I think they'll have the advantage in that trench battle. And, if you watch the Colorado North Dakota State preview when we did it that day, if you have an advantage in that battle, I think you're going to keep the game very close. And I think Illinois might win this game. People are are sleeping on them this week because Kansas has all this hype about them. They're not ready to play with that hype, in my opinion. Jalen Daniels, like he said, hasn't played a road game in forever. But he really didn't play any competition when he played last year. And he obviously didn't play anybody week 1. So I'm still questioning whether he can be a winning quarterback. He's like 8-9 or something in his career as a starter. Or it's some weird average record. So he's pretty unproven as good as he is. So I think Illinois covers this, but I also think they're pretty live on Saturday.
Here comes Square Scoop.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are looking at. You guys are really concerned about Kansas traveling to Memorial Stadium. Champaign, Illinois. Get out of here.
What else is there to do but go to the game?
If Jalen Daniels stays healthy all year, this team's going to win the Big 12.
Oh my God!
They have a ton of skilled players. They
the offensive line doesn't mean anything, Scoop.
To really make an impact. Oh yeah, because Illinois has a solid defensive line with all new ones. Great. Yeah, that's gonna matter so much. Yeah, your quarterback.
Lay it Square.
Oh, okay. Go wash your face, all right?
What the hell was that?
Listen, if Jalen Daniels goes down, obviously there's going to be a huge drop-off. But as long as he's in the game, and as long as his team's only laying 5 to Illinois, I'm going to take them. Illinois always seems to be in games. They really struggle towards the end of games. It happens the last 3 years. Again, it's hard to gauge where both of these teams are coming from off FCS blowouts, but Jalen Daniels did beat Illinois last year. Granted, that was at home, but I like them again here. They were up 34-7 in that one before Kansas' defense gave up 2 late touchdowns. And he picked on these cornerbacks last year. There's really no one new. There's one corner new. So I know Illinois' offense is very improved, and a back injury from Jalen Daniels is something to worry about. But I feel like their defense is going to keep up. Mello Dotson was picked for all Big 12. He already had a pick 6 this year. Had a great year last year.
Against Lindenwood?
Wow, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Wow, against Lindenwood.
So the people who study the Big 12 and do all the preseason All-Americans, that just doesn't matter, I guess. I mean,
exactly.
The fact that he had
played on the field.
12 defensive passing breakups last year, 5 picks. Doesn't matter, I guess. He's just not a lockdown corner. That's not going to matter at all to these Illinois bullshit receivers. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, you guys suck. That's it.
All right. So a little bit of a disagreement there. By the way, I'm not prepared to talk about Tulsa, Arkansas State. So do you guys want to skip it?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that was
Arkansas State looked like terrible last week as well. So let's just call it there. Everyone,
we can do it Saturday, right? I gotta
of course. On Saturday we'll go through them all. But I meant I'm not ready to talk about it right now. I don't have anything to say. I didn't handicap it. I don't have a bet or anything. So rather than me sit there and be like, I don't know, we'll just wait and go over it Saturday.
Colin Dixon and Pat Bryant are great receivers, by the way, for Illinois.
Yeah,
they are
terrible.
I mean, have you gotten a gander at the Kansas defense? But all right. Yeah,
I can't. I'm betting this. I'm betting this right now.
David Barney says, you guys make this game more excited. I'm watching it just for the post-game argument now. Yeah, Illinois should cut us a check. Be like, thanks for making our game interesting. All right, thanks everyone for watching. Tomorrow we'll be back at the same time. Got 3 more NFL games. We got 6 college football games to get through tomorrow. And community parlay.
Community parlay.
Hit the song.
Oh, thank you, Sheed.
Community parlay. Let's hit it.
I had to do an underdog too.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community.
He made me do a college underdog.
Making a parlay, yeah.
All right, community parlay
and community underdog. It's actually not a community underdog, but we have.
Oh, do you want to do the underdog pick up first, Andy?
Underdog. Let's do that first.
All right, Andy, you have the floor.
So, you see here, I kind of just stole one of them from Lord BLT yesterday, he made a great point about Isaiah Bond. I think they're going to try to get him into that one early and often and get down the field. So that one's just a simple one that if you want to hear what his reasoning was yesterday, he did a great job explaining that. But it was a lot. They want to get him going down the field. He's a deep threat, obviously. He's a transfer from Alabama. He's the number one receiver on Texas, and I think they're going to throw the ball on Saturday. So that's that one. And then the Ollie Gordon one is his rushing yards is at a 124.5, which is a little crazy for me against an SEC defense. And if you watched on Saturday, they tried to get him going in the receiving the ball and catching the ball. He had 4 catches against South Dakota State. I think against an SEC defense, they can really try to get him out to catch some balls in the flat and get him running. So I think that should be that 20.5 should be relatively easy. If he gets one catch, he can break away and get on those Arkansas guys. So yeah.
All right, that's an underdog pick. The promo code is BET. We don't have to go. We already gave the little spiel, but the promo code is BET for the $1,000 deposit bonus match up to 50%, or up 50% up to $1,000. All right, community parlay. First up, it's baseball only, obviously, because wow, I can't believe there's NFL on tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait.
Yes, sir. All right, so community parlay. We're gonna go with Astros money line. Twins money line. Mariners money line. Oh no, Athletics. They're on the Athletics. They voted Oakland in that game. Diamondbacks money line. Wait a second. Are these the right games? No, these are the. Action Network has the wrong games up. The Phillies don't play the Marlins. There must have been a reschedule or something. All right, so let me make sure those are the same ones. Houston, yes. Yep. Oakland, yes. And then, we can't do the community parlay. Screw the community parlay. Can't do it. This is a mess. So everyone, thanks for watching. Be back tomorrow. Same time. We got